Okay, I'll call the regular council public hearing meeting to order. Can I have the adoption of minutes, please, for September 29th? Okay.
Second.
All in favor? Contrary? That is carried.
Move council and committee minutes, September 29th.
Second.
All in favor? Contrary? That is carried.
Move minutes to be adopted for land use, September 29th.
Second.
All in favor? Contrary? That is carried.
Move minutes be received, Finance Committee, September 29th.
Second.
All in favor? Contrary? That is carried.
Move recommendations be adopted.
Second.
All in favor? Contrary? That is carried.
Move the minutes be adopted for public hearing, September 29th. Second.
Okay, all in favor, contrary, that is carried. We're going to move into the public hearing portion of the meeting. Bylaw number 1, Madam Clerk.
The first bylaw is zoning amendment bylaw 18310. The address is 17372 and 17384 2nd Avenue. The applicant is 0701492 BC Limited and 0924193 BC Limited. The applicant is seeking to rezone the site from single-family residential to single-family residential 10 and single-family residential 12 in order to create a 7 single-family lot subdivision with an adjacent property.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone wishing to speak to bylaw number 18310? First call, second call, third and final call. Next bylaw, Madam Clerk.
Is zoning amendment bylaw 18311. The civic address is 10598, 10606, and 10620 132nd Street. The applicant is Marcus Tan. The applicant is seeking to rezone the site from single-family residential to comprehensive development in order to develop a 5-story apartment building with a 2-story townhouse base consisting of 65 dwelling units.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone wishing to speak to bylaw number 181311? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record, please. Okay, excuse me, sir. Can you come over here? Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay.
Good evening, council members and Diane Watson, Mayor. I live directly behind this proposed development, and the reason I came tonight is to voice my displeasure and that of some of my neighbors who can't be here because they're working night shift.
Okay.
Part of our concerns, other than density and the normal things like increased traffic flow, is loss of, loss of sunlight, because the building is going to be approximately 5 stories, and it's right behind our houses. Another one would be smell, barbecues and so on, because the wind there blows from west to east, and we'll be on the east side of the development. Another thing is noise. It's basically a quiet residential area. Our street, which is 132A, is very quiet, and we're almost all homeowners there, with the exception of maybe one house. Whereas 132nd Street is, I believe it's only one privately owned home, and the rest are all rentals. So we have these concerns, and other than that, we certainly don't like a 5-story apartment building in a residential neighborhood. That's basically all I have to say.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And can I just get your name and address for the record?
Larry Willick.
Okay.
10599 132A Street.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your comments. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to bylaw number 18311? First call, second call, third and final call. Next bylaw, Madam Clerk.
Is official community plan amendment bylaw 18312 and zoning amendment bylaw 18383. There's various addresses from 15611 to 15689 104th Avenue, 5644, 58 and 72 104A Avenue, 10432, 58, 70 and 80 156th Street, 10441 and 10473 157th Street, and a portion of 10492 156th Street, and a portion of 10491 157th Street, as well as a portion of 104A and 105 Avenue road allowances and lanes. The applicants are 673168 BC Limited and the City of Surrey. Applicant is seeking to redesignate the site from urban to commercial and rezone the site from 1 acre residential to community commercial in order to develop a shopping centre. In addition, a development variance permit is being sought to reduce the setbacks in order to allow for active storefronts along 156th Street and 104th Avenue and to provide space for future bus service.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone wishing to speak to bylaw number 18312? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Carolyn Barker, 15582 104A Avenue, Surrey, BC. BCR 1R4. I live on 104A Avenue. My understanding is they want to block off entranceway into 104A, and I'd have to go around the block, around 2 blocks almost, and 2 blocks one way and 1 block another way to, and come back up. And with the price of gas now, and it's also an inconvenience of the road they put through to Fraser Heights. It's so busy. I realize that's why they want to block it off, but we residents that live there is a quiet little residence, and only the people that live on that residence use that street, so there's no reason to block it off.
Okay, can we just see
Transportation.
the layout? I'm just wondering what's... We're just going to get a map. Hang on just a sec.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I'm just going to get clarification on this. Okay, so the road 104A. Okay, ma'am, I'm just for clarification here, you're wondering why that's blocked off?
No, my understanding is it is now sort of, turn the area and turn there. But my understanding is they're going to put an island in so that you can't turn there if this development goes through.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Okay, thank you for that clarification. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to this bylaw? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Deb Jack, Surrey Environmental Partners, 7680 143 Street. I'll be mentioning this to another issue as well, but it's the matter of having habitat of any kind. In this instance, I think it's terrific that a stand of trees is being kept. I would note that it's only the retention of 24 conifers on this site out of a total of 144, but nonetheless they're going to retain some for the protection of the Guildford Brook, which is great, but my concern is that it's in a median. And this is, we're seeing this a couple of times, we'll see it again this evening, where it's considered to be possibly wildlife habitat, etc., but there's roads going on either side, which means that any wildlife that's traveling back and forth gets killed. And this happened as I was driving along 64th last week of an evening.
Okay, on 100...
I'm not altogether sure what the solution would be. I just simply want to make a comment that I'm concerned about the fact that we're retaining things in medians and considering that that's important and not making adjustments so that those instances of habitat, etc., are closer to where it is that they may be protecting.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Great. Thank you very much for your comments, Deb. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to bylaw number 18312? First call, second call, third and final call. Next bylaw, Madam Clerk.
Next bylaw is Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw 18305 and Zoning Amendment Bylaw 18306. Civic addresses are 7736, 7766, 7788, 156th Street. Applicants are Blue Jay Development, East West Construction Company, Jazdev and Kalmajit Randhawa. The applicant is seeking to redesignate the site from suburban to urban and to rezone the site from general agriculture to comprehensive development in order to subdivide into 46 single-family lots and 1 open space parcel.
Okay. Is there anyone wishing to speak to bylaw number 18305? First call. Please come forward. Oh, yep, go ahead, come forward. And just state your name and address for the record.
My name is Baldish Sandhu, and this is my husband, Makan Sandhu, and we live at 7833 156th Street. And our major concern is the traffic. And this has been a major concern from previous applications as well. We've lived there almost 15 years now, and there's been many previous applications, and the major concern was the traffic. There is a 4-way stop at 80th, and then there's a 4-way stop at 82nd, and there's a light at 84th Avenue. And if this development was to go through, the traffic from those developments would have to travel down 156 to get through to other major roads. So our question is, what is being planned to alleviate that? Like,
to alleviate the traffic?
traffic, right.
Okay, so would your question be as a traffic light?
Well, the issue is that there's already a lot of traffic right now because of the 4-way stops, and we have 2 schools. There's a secondary Fleetwood secondary school at 80th, and then there's the Coyote Creek Elementary, which is between 80th and 82. So right now, at start of school and end of school, it can take, like, you can have traffic from 82 right to 80th backed up because of the 4-way stops and the schools. There is no way out because 156 ends up at Surrey Lake. There's no through road. So there's no way out other than going down 156. So we have 46 more lots, plus there is other possible developments. Each household has 2 to 3 cars, so there's going to be that much extra traffic going through.
Okay, Mr. Engineer, have we got a traffic plan here?
Madam Mayor, when the Fleetwood Enclave land use study for this area was prepared, a traffic impact study was conducted. The local roads within this area has been reviewed, and they are capable of supporting the land use and the density that is being proposed in this location. 156 and 80th will remain as a 4-way stop for the interim. At 156 and 82nd, we have a project plan for upcoming years for a roundabout that is subject to completion of some of the hydro underground works.
Okay, because I think that it's mainly around the flow of traffic and, okay, so the roundabout at, did you say 82nd?
That's correct, and the roundabout will certainly bring about more efficiency in terms of traffic flow.
Okay. Councillor Hepner?
Could I just go through you, Madam Mayor, please, to the engineer? And the timing on those improvements at 156 and 82?
Madam Mayor, at this point, the schedule that we have received from BC Hydro is that they're anticipating constructing those works in 2015. So certainly shortly after that, we will be coordinating the construction of the roundabout.
Thank you.
Okay, so that'll be next year. Okay.
So the issue is, whether it's a four-way stop or lights, is that the traffic flow is that way. There's no other way out. So this development, and then there's other parcels of land which obviously once this is developed then there's possibility of more developments. So there's quite a large traffic issue that's going to be down 156.
Okay. All right.
And then the schools, like the schools will be impacted. Is there enough capacity for the school, that's the high school and the elementary, to take on the children that will be coming from these households?
Yeah, I think, well, our school board is, do we have somebody from the school district here? We usually do. Let me just see, we usually get the, I'm just going to check this. Do we have, I'm just going to pull it up here. Do we get, does anybody have that handy in terms of the comments from the school district? Okay. Okay, so the impact that the school district is saying is there's going to be 16 elementary students and 7 secondary students from this project.
They already know who's going to be moving into them?
Pardon me?
They already know who's going to be moving into these, this development then?
No.
Is that how they...
You know, how does the school district calculate the estimated number of students?
Madam Mayor, they look at the housing form, and then they have, based on historical records, they do an estimate of how many children will be living in these proposed homes.
Okay. Okay.
And then the other areas that are going to be developed as go along, then that will be the same impact.
Yeah, I mean, we can only deal with what's before us right now because I don't know what additional...
What I'm saying is that once this goes through, that is not going to, it's going to be a leeway for others to wanting to develop the rest of the area as well, because there's a lot of land on either side.
Okay.
So I think we should look at the bigger picture and not just this development, because it's going to happen. If this goes through, then others will go through, and nothing is being done about the traffic issue and then the school issue, and it's also dangerous for the children because that's the only way out.
Okay.
The other thing is that the road is in terrible condition right now. There was a development right at the end of 156, and that's already increased traffic, and also the road in front of our house is broken because of the dump trucks going through. That it's only going to increase, so is something going to be done about the road at this time?
Mr. Engineer?
Madam Mayor, the portion of 156th Street fronting the development site will be constructed and widened by the development. As far as the remaining portion of 156 north of the development site, we will be coordinating some of those improvements with BC Hydro once the water main that they require as well as the underground hydro ducts are constructed.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
You didn't catch that? Do you want to repeat that louder, please?
Portions of 156th Street that's fronting the delegation's home will be upgraded once we have the works completed by BC Hydro.
Okay. Upgraded when?
So the BC Hydro, if I correct me if I'm wrong, so with the improvements with BC Hydro, that road will be improved as well as what's in front of the development. Is that correct?
That's correct, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
At what time?
Well, when it's developed. So the development pays for the road construction?
The whole of 156 up to...
No, what's in front of the development.
Right.
Plus BC Hydro is doing some upgrading, so BC Hydro will do that as well.
In front of where it's been upgraded by BC Hydro?
That's correct.
But not the remainder of the street. That's been affected by the trucks that go down there. Is that what you're saying, basically?
Okay, well, typically what occurs is that when development happens, they do the infrastructure. They put in the infrastructure. So this particular application, part of that whole piece, they will do the road improvements.
I understand that whole portion, but this road right in front of our house.
But you're not developing your house, right?
No,
so then there's no...
But it's been affected by the development and will be affected by this development as well. The dump trucks going by, they have broken the road up in front of our house.
Okay. Mr. Engineer?
Madam Mayor, for clarification, I believe the delegation is speaking about the dump trucks that are currently using 156th Street to construct the new BC Hydro substation that is south of 76th Avenue. Once the works that are required by BC Hydro are completed, the dump trucks are off the site, the underground hydro ducts are completed, we will review with BC Hydro the extent of their reinstatement, and our operations staff will also coordinate perhaps with improvements to the balance of the road itself.
Okay.
Okay, so, like I said, that previous applications and this application, the major issue is the traffic flow. There is no way out. Are there any plans for 156 to go out to 152 somehow? At the other end, where the Surrey Lake is?
Mr. Engineer?
Madam Mayor, with future developments through the area, we will be looking at opportunities to secure and construct a new east-west road out to 152nd Street, but that will be a longer-term opportunity.
Okay.
So in the meantime, whatever developments go through, the traffic is going to have to come down 156 because that's the only way out.
Right, until future development occurs, then that other road will be built through.
Right, which could be 10 years down the road. But right now,
I mean, you know, people may wish to develop their property sooner, or you know, it's hard to say. It's up to the landowners.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there Deb?
Deb Jack, Surrey Environmental Partners, 7680 143 Street. It's the issue of the proposed meandering pathway, linear park, green infrastructure network corridor, biodiversity conservation strategy corridor. With the greatest of respect, what I've just said indicates that a piece of narrow land is going to be used for three purposes, one of which is going to be a natural area corridor going from Fleetwood Park to, and I do not know where Surrey Lake Park is located in relation to this. I know the ALR is to the south. Where is the Lake Park? Down there. I am a bit confused as to why a median is also going to be a meandering pathway and be considered to be an important link for wildlife to move between hubs. There's going to be a road on either side of this. And as I indicated earlier, it's not the greatest thing in the world to be driving after a meeting, not darkish, and seeing two vehicles ahead of you, both together, probably killed a raccoon. I understand that they're often regarded as pests and all the rest of it, but nonetheless, it's trying to move from one green area to another green area. It has to cross 2 lanes of traffic, and in that instance, 4 lanes. But this is going to be exacerbated by the fact that I assumed from this report that there's also going to be a people route here.
Can we see the layout of that?
It's a bit confusing if this is how we're going to be protecting wildlife corridors and everything else, if they're going to be reduced to medians in the greater instance.
Okay, is that the... Okay, so this whole piece is a median, is that what we're seeing here? With the road on either side? Okay.
It says here, a linear park consisting of a meandering pathway proposed to bisect the neighborhood from east to west through the middle of 77 Avenue, with vehicle travel lanes located on both the north and south sides of this linear park. So it's going to be a park?
How wide is that? Like, what is it? Is it 7.5 meters? What is that in feet? 7.5 meters, so 24 feet?
Ultimately double.
Okay. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, profoundly serious concerns. This is a median. It is not a park in the first instance, I would suggest. Concerned if that's going to be the label that we put onto issues like this so that we're conserving something. We really need to make sure that they're functional and useful. I would, for example, ask, is there expected to be some kind of an underpass going from Fleetwood Park underneath 157th so that Fleet the Wildlife can access, or try to, I mean they do have difficulty with underpasses, I understand, the corridor on their way to wherever, or vice versa.
Yeah. No, I understand your point, Deb. Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to bylaw number 18305? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Marnie Stebb, and I'm at 7818 156th Street. We are, our lot backs onto the very corner there of the development proposal. Okay. But my first question is, I've been at 2 previous meetings, and at the last one they had specifically said that when the next proposal came through that they were not going to allow for the smaller lot size zoning. That there had been 2 previous proposals, and they had said that it was going to be a minimum of, I think it was a 1/4 acre lot size, similar to what's at the bottom of the street. So now,
so when you said they said, who's they?
You, the city.
Our planners?
Yeah, like it was a city council meeting like this to decide about the zoning that was going to happen in that area.
Okay, Madam Planner?
For actually previous, like these particular areas. Like the proposal, there was a proposal right next door to us prior to this, and further down the street. Like if you look further down, that's when the proposals first came in. We've been there for 17 years.
Okay. Madam Planner?
Madam Mayor, the Fleetwood Enclave plan was developed last year. It was approved by Council back in March 2013. And what the plan identified was higher density towards the northern end of the enclave. And the subject site is here, where it is the higher density for this enclave area. However, the density is around 5 units per acre. I can just pull up that. Based on the clustering. So that's what's being proposed here. A comprehensive development zone is proposed for this site to take into account the open space being dedicated and the various lot sizes being proposed.
Okay.
So why would the lot sizes vary just in this spot when all around us is different? They just finished a development at the bottom of the street, and the maximum size lot that was allowed down there was
approximately 7,000 square feet. Our subdivision, which are the adjacent subdivision, all the lots are around 7,000 square feet. You're proposing lot sizes of 44 to 6,000 square feet, which if you, in terms of frontage of those houses, and you take to 13.4, you're talking 33-foot houses, lot size houses, which is going to depreciate all the value
of every one of them
around, which is our lots and all the houses above us and the houses, the million-dollar houses below us. And I don't quite see how you can allow that 4,000 square foot lots, 4,500 square foot lots in that area where there's no lots that size anywhere in the Fleetwood Park area.
On the other side of Fleetwood Park, as well as like on our side currently, there are no lots that were proposed for that particular size. And we can also speak to what the previous person that was up here. Unless you actually live on that street, you can't understand the traffic problem that currently is there. And as far as I can see from future development, the only proposal I see for a through road is through the golf course, which isn't going to happen until they sell the golf course, and that could be years from now. There is such a bottleneck of traffic coming up that street with the two schools. In the mornings, it's impossible. And if you're trying to tell me that adding 46 more houses is going to only increase a couple of students per school, it's crazy. Right now, we've been, because of the Fleetwood or the new substation for BC Hydro, those dump trucks are going up and down our street every day for the past, I can't even remember, 2 years almost. And that's why she's saying the road is totally destroyed, all up and down. They're speeding up and down there every day. Like, it's crazy over there. And the thought of them putting this many more houses in that small, that's what we're really, complaining about, is that to allow this size of a lot to be put in, it's way too many houses going in that area.
Right now, going through, if you try to get out of our area down south of the school, from where we live right now, from 7:30 to say 9 o'clock, it takes you 15 to 20 minutes to get up to the school, to get through that stop sign at the school right now. And then with Coyote Creek, and then another 15, 20 minutes through there. We're talking almost a half an hour to get from our area right now to Fraser Highway. It's absolutely ridiculous. And right now, you add that many lots in there, I mean, who knows, I don't know how we're going to get through there. You're going to have to leave at 6 o'clock in the morning to get through there.
And there is no other road to get out the other way either. So even the development that they just put in at the bottom of the street, there's no way for them to get out around. So all of them are currently, obviously having to come up the street. There's no way out from that place.
One other question about school. You mentioned whoever did that
school study?
School study said there's going to be 7 seniors, secondaries, and 10 elementary. I believe that's what I saw up there.
I think it was. Yeah, okay, 16.
16.
And 7.
Okay, I did a canvass down in the street there of that 21 lot that was developed down there. Right now, there's only 5 houses that people are living in right now. And right now, there's 7 kids out of those 5 houses down there right now. There's 7 secondary students and 5 elementary students coming out of those 5 houses, which each have 2 suites in. And I'm sure you're totally aware of that, about all those suites, secondary suites. So 7 secondary students. I mean, that's a bit ludicrous. I don't know who did that study.
That's a school district.
I don't know how they could.
Yeah,
we're talking 40 houses. And you're not.
There's no way.
7 kids. I mean, that's ridiculous. Yeah. Absolutely, the guy should be fired for that. Getting back to the lot
we'll let them know that.
It's just outrageous. You go from a couple of years ago, I think the study was, you were going to put quarter-acre to half-acre lot sizes. Now you're doing the gross density down to small lots, down to, if you drive through, I'm in construction and I work all around, and I've worked up in the Clayton Hills and they put Willoughby Heights up there where they put these small lots, and you can't even get to a job site even to work in there. It's so bad, the parking and traffic in those areas. And to put that in this type of where there's only one access out is a little bit outrageous, out, to my opinion.
Okay.
And getting back to the, you're talking about the wildlife.
The deer that come through are across that street certainly aren't going to follow a pathway, but they do go right through that first slot.
We have deer, we have owls, we have raccoons, we have everything in that adjacent property there. And I know progress, and you are going to wind up developing that.
We know.
But you're going to have to make some subdivision for that wildlife. I don't know where they're going to go or how you're going to do, but I don't know what you're going to do about that, or even if you care. But the lot sizes are our main concern, and I don't think you can pose that type of subdivision right there, the gross density in that area, considering anywhere else there is none. I mean, there's new houses at the bottom of the street. I don't know why those people that just bought those houses, or a developer that just built those houses, can actually stand up here and allow that to happen.
Okay.
Just one last thing on the traffic. I think she had mentioned about the Fleetwood Enclave. It's expected to generate about 266 vehicles per hour, 66 to 200 out during the peak hours, like the school hours. Vehicles per hour is 1,225, and then 133 out during the PM peak hours.
That's the full build out of the whole thing.
Yeah. I think that's that might be low.
Okay.
I think that really what would be helpful is for someone to actually come and take a look at our street and the current road traffic conditions and what it's really like every morning and with the current development of the BC Hydro substation.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. I've got a question. Councillor Hetman?
Yeah, just a quick question. Thank you, Madam Mayor. The size of your properties there to the north, what's the general lot size there?
7,000.
7,000? Thank you.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much for your comments. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to bylaw number 18305? First call, second call, third and final call. Next bylaw. Hang on a sec.
Good evening. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of Council. My name is Roger Jawanda from City West Consulting. We're the agents for the applicants located at 101-9030 King George Boulevard in Surrey. Previous speakers have spoken about traffic. I guess your staff has mainly answered some of the questions, but to just reiterate some of the comments that staff had made, I guess some of the local intersections at 82 and 156 and also 84th and 160th and will be constructed in the near future, next year, 2015. Also, the long-term plan for the NCP area is to connect 77 Avenue to 152 Street when the golf course develops in the future. Due to the construction traffic from the area, currently the only access point is from 156th Street and 80th. However, eventually, once the houses are constructed, that would diminish. And the other comment somebody made was the pathway along 77 Avenue, the Habitat Corridor. Our application will be providing 7.5 meters, and once the property to the south develops, they will be also providing a 7.5 meter dedication, which will be a total of 15. In addition to that, there will be a 10 meter dedication for road on either side. 77 Avenue will be a one-way traffic, So there is a median in the middle. However, it's to protect the trees and etc. There will be a linear pathway through there. And the other thing, the lot sizes. The NCP for this area was approved last year. The higher density in this area requires that open space be provided in 13%. We're providing about 16%. So, and the allowed UPA is 5, and we comply with that. So generally our layout complies with the approved NCP, which was approved last year. And the other thing is the lot sizes. Somebody mentioned that the existing lots to the north are 7,000 square feet. Currently, the RF zone allows 6,000. We're proposing larger than what's required for this area, and our range is anywhere from 45 to 5,500 square feet. But the larger lots are along the north property line, where the lots can range from 518 square meters to 600. So that's about 5,500 to probably 6,500, somewhere around there. So that's all the comments that I have, but if there's any questions.
Okay, no.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, just a second. Councillor Villeneuve.
I'm wondering if you had a public information meeting on this project.
We didn't have a public information.
You did not have a public information
No,
meeting?
since the lot layout complies to the NCP, there was no need, and we haven't heard from any of the neighbors prior to this.
So you had the development proposal sign on the property, but no public information meeting, is that correct?
No.
Okay.
Just staff had received a few calls from the neighbors, but some of the neighbors might be referring to when the NCP process was completed last year or the previous years to that.
Okay, thanks.
But we didn't have one, no. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, next bylaw, please.
Next bylaw is zoning amendment bylaw 18307. The civic address is 14441, 14451 68th Avenue. The applicants are Jane Bryson and Debbie Atkins. The applicant is seeking to rezone the properties from 1 acre residential to single-family residential 10 in order to subdivide into 8 single-family small lots.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone wishing to speak to bylaw number 18307? First call, second call, third and final call. Next bylaw, Madam Clerk.
Zoning amendment bylaw 18308. The address is 14185 59A Avenue. The applicants are Balbert and Pauljeet Niger. The applicant is seeking to rezone the property from 1 acre residential to single-family residential 10 in order to subdivide into 4 single-family residential lots.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone wishing to speak to bylaw number 18308? First call, second call, third and final call. Next bylaw, Madam Clerk.
Zoning amendment bylaw 18309. The address is 8065 124th Street. The applicant is Raymond Birkenbos. The applicant is seeking to rezone the property from 1 acre residential to single-family residential in order to subdivide into 7 single-family residential lots.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone wishing to speak to bylaw number 18309? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Oh. No? Okay. Is there anyone wishing to speak to bylaw number 18309? First call, second call, third and final call. That concludes this part of the public hearing. We're going to go into committee reports. Councillor Villeneuve, Social Planning.
Yes, let me just move to here. I'll move the minutes of the Social Policy Advisory Committee.
Second. All in favor? Contrary? That is carried. Investment and Innovation.
Let the minutes be received for July 14th.
Second.
All in favor? Contrary? That is carried.
And Madam Mayor, just before I move the recommendations, well, let me move the recommendations, and then I might just make a comment. If I could move the recommendations be adopted.
Second.
Councillor Hay?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to let everybody know and let Council know that there's going to be an Innovation Boulevard event tomorrow. It's the second annual Innovation Boulevard event, and it's going to be held at the City Centre 1 building, which is the brand new building just straight across the street from the hospital. And this is a coming together, of course, of academia. SFU is helping to host, and they're hosting a roundtable event just prior to that as well as funders, angel investors, and so on, as well as the health tech sector. And there's been some really, really great advances over the past several months in this health tech sector. As you'll recall, the Mayor went to Israel and signed a number of MOUs, and as well, the Premier was just in India last week and announced that a company from India will be locating an Innovation Boulevard as well coming up, with which we'd already signed an MOU with them prior to that. So this is a coming together of the industry, and it's a really exciting time for Innovation Boulevard as we start to see the health technology sector take off in Surrey, and I'm very proud of it, very pleased to be a part of it. I just wanted to share that with Council.
Perfect, and thank you. And I know that we'll be getting an update as well, because I think right now we've got 10 companies that have moved in. We're working with another 35. So it's exciting for health technology for sure. I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary? That is carried. Agricultural Food Security Advisory Committee.
Move the minutes be received. Second. Of September 4.
Okay. All in favor? Contrary? That is carried. Councillor Hepner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just an update on a letter of intent that was signed in October relative to Surrey becoming Ag Innovation as well. The letter of intent was signed between the City of Surrey, the BC Agriculture Centre of Excellence, Simon Fraser University, and BCIT, and Kwantlen Polytechnic University regarding, and SMK Farms and Research right here in Surrey. And the letter of intent will allow the City and its partners to pursue industry-driven ag innovation opportunities to advance our agriculture community. And I just wanted to briefly describe one of them, Madam Mayor, which is SMK Farm and Herbal Research in partnership with BCIT's Natural Health and Food Product Research Group to evaluate a high-value functional crop with potential health benefits. And during the memorandum and the letter of intent signing, we got to hear a little bit about what that research was going to entail, and it was talking about brown rice. And in many parts of the world where they grow rice, it's in contaminated water courses or in areas that are not as pristine as we would see here in North America. So this research will show whether or not those high-value crops can be developed right here in Surrey. So I was particularly proud of that, and particularly pleased to sign that letter of intent, because I think it shows that agriculture and food security are also on our list of high-value innovation opportunities. So thank you for allowing me to share that.
Yes, no, I'm glad you did, because I mean, and it was great. I mean, we had a number of folks there, and it's quite exciting for sure. I will call the question. All in favor? Contrary? That is carried. Police Committee meeting.
Move the minutes be received, September 15th.
Second. All in favor? Contrary? That is carried. Cultural Development.
And I'll move the minutes of the September 16th Cultural Committee, which are on the table, and the recommendations from the Cultural Development Committee.
Okay. Second. All in favor? Contrary? That is carried. Councillor,
I just was going to say that the recommendations are in line with the Cultural Plan of Surrey, and the Cultural Grants Committee has evaluated the program of the cultural grants over the last 2 years, and in 2013, for every dollar we invested, there was $6 benefit, and last year, for every dollar we invested with cultural groups in the city and programs, there was a $12 benefit. So it's an investment that's really building the creative industries cultural infrastructure in our city. And as we all know, within our sustainability charter, within the vital signs report, people in the community want to have a thriving arts and cultural sector. And it's also one of the basic areas that we're trying to develop to keep our youthful population, which a third of that population is under 19, involved and allowed to explore their intents. And the Surrey Board of Trade, we've had 3 cultural forums with them, trying to link certainly our creative design people coming out of our universities and our artists with manufacturers in the city to really build up our creative industries in Surrey. And we want to be able to keep our young people that are graduating in our universities here, working and living here. And we believe really there's an opportunity for this city, which is an ed city, because Vancouver is a very expensive place to live, that artists and creators want to live in Surrey. So we're excited about the program and looking forward to moving forward. And the committee sort of deliberated on how the process is working. They made a few adjustments, but I think we've had some key people in the community involved, and I'm proud of the program.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Financial officer.
Just as Chair of Finance, I also just wanted to express my appreciation. I know that the committee itself has provided some context in terms of what they're looking for in both 2015 and 2016, and certainly we'll have those deliberations. But I do believe that the balance that they have requested certainly is reasonable.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. And also to Councillor Villeneuve, I know you chair the Social Policy Advisory, and you did mention vital signs, and I know the vital signs report, but also part of that where it said areas of improvement was in education, access to health and housing, which of course are all provincial government responsibilities and jurisdictions. So maybe what we can do is refer that report to your committee, because I think to be sending that to the provincial government, requesting that we get the funding that should be allocated for all of those things would be...
I'd be happy to have the committee review it, particularly since that particular report had... I'm happy to have the committee review it, because the report was really less than 1% of the community that responded to that report. And so I think it's a snapshot, but not an overall view of the city. And I do know that our city has a sustainability charter where improvements in different areas are benchmarked. So I'd like to be able to compare the findings of that report with what we have as a city as well. But certainly any report that comes out from the community we take as a serious look at and want to improve, and we continue to do so through the policy committee. And I do know that our city has been doing its very best, considering the amazing download that we've had to take from the federal and provincial governments that have moved out of areas such as housing and social infrastructure, and to a certain extent funding for our social services. So I think we've done a yeoman's job in trying to match that and to partner with other organizations like BC Housing by sharing our land resources and our development cost charges and other things. But I continue, and I know this council continues to advocate for other levels of government to take on their responsibilities and to not leave us on our streets with inability to actually fund what needs to be done.
Okay. Perfect. I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary? That is carried. I've got a couple of proclamations here. This is Foster Family Month, and fostering is a community responsibility and provides opportunities for all community members to contribute to the support of children and youth. Therefore, let it be resolved that I declare October 2014 as Foster Family Month in the City of Surrey. International Writers' Conference, and thank you to Councillor Villeneuve for all the work that you do with the Surrey International Writers' Conference. And within the City of Surrey, the Surrey International Writers' Conference Society celebrates 22 years of service to the writing community through their conference, to be held October 24th to 26th at the Sheraton Guildford Hotel. Therefore, let it be resolved that I declare the week of October 24th to 26th as Surrey International Writers Conference Week in the City of Surrey, in recognition of the positive impact this event has made in our community and to writers across North America since 1993. Pulmonary Hypertension Month. I'm sure nobody has that. The somewhat generic symptoms often get mistaken for other less serious illnesses and conditions, and patients therefore experience significant delays in diagnosis and receiving life-saving treatments. Therefore, let it be resolved that I declare the month of November 2014 as Pulmonary Hypertension Month in the City of Surrey, and encourage all citizens to visit www.phacanada.ca for information. Let's go on to corporate report. And I just want to bring to attention a corporate report that is on table that came out of our closed council, and that was intervenor status in the Fraser Docks Coal Transfer Facility. And this was supported by council in terms of giving us intervenor status, in terms of ensuring that the issues that we have brought forward to Fraser Docks and to the Port Authority are addressed. And so we do have this report available, and I know it's been a concern for all of us. Councillor Villeneuve, did you?
Well, I would just say that I'm glad the city's stepping forward and taking intervenor status, because we do have a number of organizations and community members that are challenging the decision, and the fact that they feel that there was not procedural fairness, and some concern about their ability to meet the requirements requested by this council on health issues and environmental issues. So the city is taking this strong step to ensure the community that we feel that it's important to address the concerns that they have. So I'm very proud of the fact that this council is taking that step at this time.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Haynes?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I want to point out, and I'm very pleased that we're taking this step as well, and taking on intervenor status in this proposal. But I want to be clear that as far as our understanding and what this really is from our perspective at this time, is so that we, and I say we as in staff, particularly our engineering staff, can be working closely with the proponents as they work through the details of this. As Councillor Villeneuve pointed out, we were not supportive of the project in its totality, given that there wasn't a comprehensive health assessment done and there wasn't public hearings done. However, of course, it appears to be going ahead, and I think it's very incumbent upon us as a municipality to be at the table, because there are some direct impacts on our municipality and on our residents with respect to how, for instance, the train cars are washed out, and what happens with that wastewater as it comes out. And so these are the kinds of things that we really need to be at the table at and working through, and I'm very pleased that we're being diligent and at that table every step of the way to mitigate as much of the impact as we possibly can.
Okay, and your Environmental and Sustainability Committee is continuing to monitor?
And it is, Madam Mayor. We'll be getting updates from staff with respect to the intervenor status and working through that through the Environmental Sustainability Advisory Committee, yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. I'll call the question. All in favour? Contrary? That is carried. R171, road closure.
Move the recommendation.
Second. All in favour? Contrary? That is carried. R174.
Move the amendment to the Fraser Sewerage area boundary.
Second. All in favour? Seconded?
Second.
All in favour? Contrary? That is carried. R175.
Move the lease of portion of the old City Hall campus to the federal government.
Second.
Okay, and this here is the City Hall campus to the federal government for the RCMP. And I know, and Ms. Wilkie, I know that we had within our capital program a new facility that we were going to build. So we're not building that. We're going to move it into the lease. And how much would that new facility have been?
We didn't do any large analysis on how much it would cost. I think that in our current budget we had about $20 million. For
okay. Okay, so we won't be needing that, and we'll just be doing the lease in the old City Hall building. Correct? Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. I will call the question. All in favour? Contrary? That is carried. R176.
Move the closure of the lane allowance.
Second. All in favor? Contrary, that is carried. R177.
Move the acquisition of property at 7221 180th.
Second.
All in favor? Contrary, that is carried. R178.
Move the local area service water main extension.
Second.
All in favor? Contrary, that is carried. R179.
Local area service sanitary sewer extension. Move the R179.
Second.
All in favor? Contrary, that is carried. R180.
I'll move the recommendation.
Second.
Okay. Councillor Villeneuve.
Thank you. This is a report on the status of the search for the 2014-2015 winter shelter. As we all know, between beginning of November and March, there's extra concern about people having a lack of housing in the city, and particularly people that have no roof over their heads. And so we are in the process as a city. We have number one priority to build in partnership with BC Housing a new purpose-built shelter and transition house, and a house that has services for people that are currently homeless, and using the Keys services and the Gateway shelter in the city centre. And right now we're looking at another site than the site that was proposed at a recent public hearing. So the results of that should be available, I believe, in January. There's negotiations. And through this winter period of time, last year we did not have a winter shelter per se, but we put the funds, along with the consultation with the Business Improvement Association and BC Housing, into outreach workers. And I just want to share some of the successes of that program in contrast to creating a temporary shelter. That 26 people were housed through the outreach initiative, directly housed. 73 people were housed through the Gateway shelter that normally wouldn't have been. 950 people were referred to a shelter in December through March to other shelters in our city. 98 people were referred to Quibble Creek, which was one of our new facilities with the Sobering Center. 297 people were referred to addiction services and took advantage of that, and 7 people were referred to the ACT program, which is the mental health program in the city. So even though there is not a temporary facility, the outreach workers have been more proactive and been able to house people on a more permanent basis, and I think that's been the goal of the city. So in summary, it says the outreach initiative housed more people per month, 13.3 people per month, through the outreach versus when we had the shelter, which was only 9 people. So 157 people were sheltered over the winter months. So though it's not ideal, I think it's a message to the community that we have concern about people that are still on the streets. I'm proud of the fact that the city, although we've had a population gain of over 80,000 people, close to 100,000 people over the last 3 years, our homeless numbers haven't grown from the last homeless count. But still, any people on the street are too many, and we're continually fighting that battle and hoping other levels of government will put more money for infrastructure services in our city to address the issue as well.
Perfect. Great. Thank you very much. Councillor Hepner.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I think it's timely to acknowledge the good work that we have done on the Homelessness and Housing Committee and the grants that we put out this week as well. And thank you for being the strong player in that, Councillor Villeneuve. But I think it's also important to note that as much as we would have liked to have had that purpose-built shelter for this year, we are actually adding outreach workers to make sure that those that are vulnerable and need that help, that we've got more workers on the street to help them get there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Vasodi.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just had a question specific to the outreach workers and the funding of those workers, and want to also recognize the role that the Surrey Urban Mission plays in terms of taking overflow. So I just want to make sure that they and their work are supported with any resources that we can provide, considering that we've had to make this decision around the emergency shelter. Because I know that last winter, our winter did extend. It was past January.
We actually had our coldest time, I think, at the end of January into February, where we sort of, the period of the emergency shelter had extended. And so just want to be sure that we're on record with BC Housing, letting them know that we do need more support, and all of the agencies who are providing work be supported to absorb all of those people who won't be in the shelter this year.
Thank you.
Yeah, and also, too, I think I just want to make note that the outreach workers are funded by BC Housing, which is, of course, their jurisdiction, so we're happy to have that funding come into the city as well. So, all right, I will call the question. All in favor? Contrary? That is carried. Okay, R181, quarter financial report.
Move quarterly financial reports.
Second.
Okay. Councillor Gill.
Madam Mayor, if I could, earlier in the day, we, through our Finance Committee, really looked at an audit report that came in, and it was regarding the internal audit status update. And I really want to just make the public aware that some of the significant strides that we've made in the internal audit division, which really works in conjunction with our finance team, but in fact they are independent. And certainly if you look at some of the achievements that we've had to date, and the internal audit program really does facilitate such things as the code of conduct, the whistleblower policy, but more importantly, I think that as we move forward, they are a significant liaison with KPMG, which is our external auditors, and certainly they've been performing some performance audits, procurement audits, compliance audits, and efficiency audits. So I think that in conjunction to what the internal audit team does and supplements our finance team, I think we're in a really great position in terms of moving forward. I'm just really proud of some of the achievements that we've accomplished to date. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Hepner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I just want to acknowledge the work of Councillor Gill in getting the internal audit committee up and running. Thank you very much. And coupled now with the external audit, my question, Madam Mayor, is through to our General Manager of Finance. Is there anything else we could be doing in terms of transparency with the numbers of audits that we already have within our city?
So beginning in the middle of 2014, we began putting financial data in the open data environment on our website, and we will continue to put more information throughout 2015.
So the open data has, okay, thank you very much. So.
Okay. And I just want to make a couple of comments, because I know that through this process and as we go through our budgeting process, and I think we've all unanimously supported all of our budgets over the past number of years, and having the audit committee in place, and I know, and congratulations to you and your team, because I know you've won numerous awards over the years in terms of your financial reporting and transparency. And of course all our KPMG audits, all our statements as well. Now I really want to make some public comments here, because and especially to you, Ms. Wilk, and your team, because there has been some comments made that around initiating forensic audits, and I do want to publicly apologize if that has come your way, because in no way is there anything that is untoward. When a forensic audit is moved forward, that is an indication that there is criminal activity. So I want to, I want to ensure that you and your team fully, realize that that's not something that is out there that we want to embark upon, because that's just not the case. But at this time of year we do get things thrown around, and but I know your staff has worked extremely hard, and just want to acknowledge you for all of that. Councillor Rossotti.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to make comments to just to provide some clarification to all staff that as we are engaged in a process of an election, I think all comments that are made and promises that are being made or commitments being made on a move forward basis, none of them are either intended directly or indirectly at staff. And I think to sort of highlight that is not an accurate statement. I think as we move forward in outlining platforms, that is done between those those who are seeking office. Well, Madam Mayor, I think that's what you've brought forward by apologizing to staff about comments that have been made. So you've now opened the door.
No.
I'd like you to respectfully let me provide clarification to staff about any comments that have been made. We're not either directly or indirectly intended to question staff. That is on a move-forward basis based on what people may believe needs to be done in terms of accountability and transparency. And I'm quite feeling badly that staff would even be engaged or we're having this conversation at this table.
Well, frankly, it is staff that undertake the work. It is staff that work with the auditors. It is staff that do the work that bring it forward to council. So they are very much engaged, and it is the work that they do. And when someone indicates that there is a forensic audit, that means that there's a suggestion of criminal activity. So I'm going to cut the conversation off at that because you are out of order, and we'll proceed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I will call the question. All in favor? Contrary? That is carried. R182.
Move the online business license application.
Second.
All in favor? Contrary? That is... Oh, sorry, Councillor Hain.
Thank you. Thanks, Madam Mayor. I just want to make a very brief comment on this because I see the CEO of the Surrey Board of Trade here. This is something that started back in 2009 with the Mayor's Red Tape Reduction Task Force that Councillor Hepner headed up. And it's not a huge piece, but it's just one more example of making this as business-friendly municipality as absolutely possible, moving towards online applications and things like that, speeds up workflow. And this is something that's just indicative of making this a business-friendly environment. So I just wanted to bring that to Council's attention. Thank you.
Okay. And did you mention the award that Minister Cadieux had presented as the business-friendly city?
Yes, yes. I didn't mention that, but thank you for reminding me of that. And at the recent UBCM conference, and we weren't able to pick up the award because we were at other functions at that time. But Minister Cadieux did come and present us with an award by UBCM for being the most business-friendly municipality. So it's again an indication that not only that we're saying it, but that the whole province is saying it. So thank you for reminding me of that.
Okay, thank you very much. I will call the question. All in favor? Contrary? That is carried. R183.
Move the bylaw enforcement activity report.
Second. Thank you very much. And through the bylaw enforcement, I think they've done the review. We've talked about that in terms of the activities and the review that they've undertaken in that department, and going to 7 days a week. And they've done some incredible work. Did Councillor Hepner?
I was going to mention
good. Okay, perfect. I will call the question. All in favor? Contrary? That is carried. R184.
Move the proposal to establish a USL Pro League team in Surrey with the Vancouver Whitecaps, and if I may speak to that.
Second. Councillor Hepner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is the next step in hopefully having the Whitecaps appear here in Surrey. We've offered up some temporary space in partnership with the lot that we built in Newton for Kwantlen Polytechnic, and Kwantlen Polytechnic University is also pretty excited about this. But what this report does tonight is it allows us to enter into discussions around an operating agreement of how that might flow, and then provides for some bleacher seating in the 2015 budget if that temporary use moves forward into a real operation of the USL Pro team here in Surrey, and then allows us to go into a broader discussion with both the public and the private sector around what a stadium could look like. So we're on the right path. We're taking some significant steps. It's an exciting time for the soccer world, and it is a good possibility that we could see the Whitecaps playing right here in Surrey and giving our our young Surrey soccer students or players an opportunity to look at where they could grow. But I wanted to be very cautious, Madam Mayor, to suggest that this is the beginning, not the end. It's the start of those discussions, and my conversation today with Mr. Lenarduzzi was positive, and I know they're excited about Surrey, but I want to make certain that you understand we're not going to be utilizing that until we know all of the ramifications of it, but it does give staff the momentum to go and discuss that operating agreement.
Perfect. Thank you. Councillor Steele.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to add to that a little bit, and I know we're in the very beginning stages, but something like this is so important to the city of Surrey for people to come and watch the sports, take part in them, and particularly our youth. We have a large number of youth that take part in soccer for many reasons, because it's a worldwide sport and all kinds of other reasons. But one of the reasons is it's a very appealing sport for kids that don't have a lot of money to take part in. And to be able to bring something like this to the city so that the kids on the streets and without other things may be able to take part in this and have mentors in their lives and sports in their lives is so important, and it contributes, falls in directly with our crime reduction, the roots of crime and all of that kind of stuff. So I think that I'm really looking forward to it on many counts, and I think that's one of the important features of it.
Perfect. All right. I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary? That is carried. Okay. Going into bylaws, third reading.
On the first zoning, move third.
All in favor? Contrary? That is carried.
And then number 2, move third.
Second.
Okay, I just have a question. There was a question brought up around view corridors. Was that taken into consideration? I know that it complies with the OCP and part of the city centre plan in terms of land use to low and mid-rise. But I know there was some concern about the shadowing and the view corridors. So I just want to raise that as something that we need to have a look at. So I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary? That is carried.
On 3 on the OCP, move third.
Second.
Okay. And again, on this one here, actually both on 3 and 4, and maybe this is something that staff can have a look at as well, because I think the point that was made in terms of the habitat corridors in the medians, I think we need to just have a check of that, because I don't know any wildlife corridors that are down the middle of a road through a median. So I think we, with and I know we've done some work on this in terms of, I think it's Councillor Hain, the biodiversity conservation strategy, and I think we identify areas around wildlife corridors. So I just want to raise that as a flag, because I think it's a really important issue, and we need to address that. So on number 3, I will call the question. All in favor? Contrary? That is carried.
On 3 on the zoning, third.
Okay. All in favor? Contrary? That is carried. Number 4. Number 4.
That is...
Well, you can't move it for discussion. You have to have a...
That's
Okay, what's the wish of
46
council on this one?
I'll move referral.
Councillor Hepner?
This is a difficult one, Madam Mayor, and I'll tell you why. Because it actually complies. And the fact that it complies with the zoning gives me some concern to turn it back, because I don't know what the message is then but I hear loud and clear that the layout doesn't work for a lot of people. I was concerned about the properties to the north being some 7,000 square feet, but when I hear the properties to the south are about 1,000 square feet less, that's a difficult one. So I don't know where to go with that one. I really wanted to send it back and have them relook at the layout or do something that satisfies the public, perhaps even have an information meeting on what it could look like in, but because it complies with with what our expectation is in land use, we got ourselves caught up in this once before, and it's not the right message. It either we're changing the zone because it does, and it doesn't comply, and we're all aware it doesn't comply, or it does comply and we accept it, but the layout doesn't seem to be working. So my suggestion is we have a meeting with that there's more information with the public, or they look at it and I'd refer it back.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. Councillor Villeneuve.
I agree with Councillor Hepner. I think that I remember this pocket, and I remember we did do the NCP because of the adjacent ALR and the projects that we had, which were highly densified, and so there was an NCP done in this area, if I'm correct. But I do think that there's some concerns, obviously, in the neighborhood, and I think probably the construction of the hydro station has intensified the concern and the state of the road, but also the schools in the area. So I know it's ideal to think they're going to be connecting to 152nd, but I can't imagine that too soon with that golf course there. So I think it's an issue that's going to have to be addressed. And maybe we should ask the school district to take a relook at the situation as well, because it's hard to believe those numbers. I can agree with the community, or at least to explain to the community where they came to those numbers. But and maybe there would be more comfort about a different layout and the projections if there was a clear indication of how the roundabouts or whatever in that area might help resolve the traffic. But I don't feel comfortable supporting it at this time without further dialogue, so that's my position as well.
Okay. Councillor Hain.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm in agreement with Councillor Hepner that when we do an NCP and then the development community follows that NCP, it's got to be sort of extenuating circumstances that we would then turn around and want to have more discussion on it. So the fact that the UPA in the project meets the NCP is certainly. We've given the indication that kind of density is okay, but I think there's a couple of things from my perspective that really need to be looked at and would be, I think, worthwhile to have a go back to staff. And one of them is the transportation up and down 156, and looking at the eventual east-west connection through the golf course out to 152nd is really a mid to long-term, I think, aspiration, and certainly isn't going to give relief anytime soon. So I think we have to look at that transportation in and out of the area. And I also hear Deb Jack with some serious concerns about the wildlife corridor, and I like the fact, of course, that it's going to be double that wide. It's going to be double the width when the property to the south is developed. But why can't we consolidate that wildlife corridor then on one side or the other, and so do half a corridor now to the south, and when the lower portion develops, add to it, rather than putting road down either side of it and making it not the best of both worlds for anybody, including the wildlife, and most importantly. So those would be the two areas, Madam Mayor, the transportation in and out of the area and that wildlife corridor that I would like to see some more discussion with the community on and with staff.
Okay. Councillor Gill.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Also, I think that one of the things that's somewhat different or unique in terms of this application is that there's an open space parcel. If staff can correct me, how large is that open space parcel? So just to follow up on my comments, I think that one would have to be able to balance the comments and thoughts on having larger lots versus having the open space. So I think that cherry picking what's going to actually be best for the community, what works best, certainly having that conversation with the community, given it is the community's neighborhood. Certainly I'd like to have the community be able to provide some of that context. 1.2 acres.
All right, so I will call the question. All in favor, contrary, that is carried. We'll refer that back. All right, going to number 5.
Third on 5.
Do I second it? All in favor, contrary, that is carried.
Move third on 6.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, that is carried.
Move third on 7.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, that is carried. Final adoptions.
I'll move to rescind Resolution 14488 of March 31st.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
And I'll amend bylaw 18020.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
And I'll pass third reading as amended.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
Move final adoption.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried. Number 9.
Move final on 9.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
Final on 10.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
Final on 11.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
Final on 12.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
Final on 13.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
Final on 14.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
Final on 15.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
Final on 16.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
17, move first.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
18, move first.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
Third.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
19, move first.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
Third.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried. Clerk's report 1A.
Move 1A.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried. 1B.
Move 1B. Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried. 2A.
Move 2A.
Seconder.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
Move
B.
2B.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried. C.
Move 2C.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
Move 2D.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried. 3.
Move the development permits for 3A.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried.
Move the delegation requests to come to CIC.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried. Okay, number B.
B.
Okay, CIC, all in favor,
CIC.
contrary, carried.
And move the recommendation on number 5.
Second.
All in favor, contrary, carried. Notice of motion. Notice of motion. Okay. Other business. I was just going to ask under other business here. I know the TransLink property on King George in Newton Town Centre. Now I know that we've had conversations about that. We're getting in touch with TransLink. We're going to put a park, develop that as a park because it's a long time frame in terms of what TransLink's proposal on that. I see it's fenced. Have we got any update on that? Anybody? Okay, Ms. Cavan?
Madam Mayor, we're currently taking a look at that space and trying to determine what we could put in on an interim basis that can certainly beautify the area, engage the community, but also being cognizant of not creating an expectation that it will be parkland in the long term if it develops for other purposes. So we're in the process of developing a plan which we'll bring back for review through the Parks, Recreation and Sport Tourism Committee and then share that onwards with Council.
Perfect. Thank you. And what do we think that time frame's going to look like? Because I think that it's, it's important. Having that fenced off is just not what we want to do in the town centre in Newton.
Madam Mayor, we can get some preliminary plans within the next 6 weeks or so, at least some concepts for discussion that could then provide staff with some general discussion or general direction to move ahead.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Do you need a motion to that effect, or are you good? Good. Okay. Councillor Gill?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, I've had the opportunity, been facilitating some correspondence between the Planning Department and Mike Bola, who's the president of Cloverdale Association. And really the context of the question has been like, how is the school district calculating the student formulas, and are they using the right numbers in terms of secondary suites, forms of housing, that kind of thing. So The request of my colleagues would be that perhaps we could ask the school district to come out and appear as a delegation and perhaps provide us some context in terms of how they come up with these calculations, because I think that this is an ongoing question that we continue to have, and it would be nice to have some clarity, and perhaps our planning department could perhaps give some better concepts of how they could do some of those calculations. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea, because I mean the school district has their formula and everything that they do, and they, forward that to us. But I think you're quite right. I don't, how they come up with that or what they do. I think that's good information to have for sure.
Do we need a motion for that, Madam?
Yeah. Do you want to just make a motion?
Second.
Sorry. So moved. Okay, seconder?
Second.
All in favor? Contrary? That is carried. Councillor Hepner?
Okay, thank you. We oftentimes have a meeting with the school district on many issues, and that should probably be on the agenda of a broader
for the liaison
meeting at some point in time as well. 3 items, if I may, Madam Mayor. I had the occasion to attend a couple of events at the Vedic Hindu temple, and between the temple and the Gurdwara and the parking lot that belongs to the city there on, I think it's 84 and 140th. And that is an accident waiting to happen. It was unbelievable, the number of children and the number of people walking in there in amongst those vehicles. The only thing I could think of was perhaps moving that wooden fence out to make it a little bit bigger, but I'm wondering if someone could look at that from the safety perspective, please, because that was, I almost ran into a few people myself there trying to get in and out. Secondly, in Cloverdale, I've had some requests around lighting the perimeter, and if I could just, around the Bill Reid Amphitheatre and some areas there that needed some attention, if I could just refer that to the General Manager of Parks. And King George and 66, the vacant lot, that's not the transit lot, is it? It is the transit lot, okay. That was the very one I was going to talk about. Yeah. It really does need cleaning up. Yeah. And I'm not sure if it's transit's responsibility, but every week I go through there, it needs cleaning up on a continual basis.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem, because TransLink owns the land, and so, we can't go onto their private property and clean it up for them.
Well, it's a mess.
And that's exactly so can we get through the Parks Committee, an update with that park there, on TransLink, and as well the Bill Reid Amphitheatre, because that's come up a couple of times as well, for sure, and bring that back. Alrighty, and I will ask for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Contrary? That is carried. Great. Thank you very much.